Hey guys, I'm back with another candle review, and once again, so random, I know, but yeah, I just been really enjoying HomeWorx again, mainly due to the fact that BBW's winter and holiday lineup has been dreadfully boring, so it has definitely rekindled my interest in HomeWorx again. So I've just been kind of like going through my candles and burning them, and so there are going to be a few old ones, but I don't know, still miss and enjoy reviewing candles that I actually like feel compelled to review. So even if it is a little irrelevant, I will still maybe post them on my channel, and here we go. This one is still actually available on the homeworx.shop website, so if you are interested after this review, you can still check that out. And yeah. So notes printed on the bottom of the label of this candle say fresh raspberry almond cream, brown sugar, and baked cookie. So yeah, I think this was originally vanilla currant biscotti, which I never owned, but word on the street is that this was a repackage of vanilla currant biscotti, and they renamed it for some reason. And when you do go to smell it, it really is very aptly a vanilla currant biscotti fragrance. I guess it could still potentially be a raspberry Linzer cookie, but vanilla currant biscotti, like, just totally perfectly describes this fragrance. So what does this smell like? This smells a whole lot like the like a raspberry and currant alternative to the iced blueberry biscotti from BBW. Kind of very similar biscotti and berry type brown sugar heavy bakery fragrance. Very similar to that exists in this. So if you want a slightly more, once again, a little bit more sophisticated, more like deeper, darker version of iced blueberry biscotti, but switch out the blueberry with a currant and raspberry note, then check out this. Very sibling fragrances for sure. So you get currant first and foremost. It's like a more tart and sharper berry fragrance that's not quite as sweet and juicy as like a raspberry, a blueberry, or a strawberry. There's definitely a piquant quality to the currant that you get in here that kind of has like that sort of like bitter pucker type of feel to it, and a sharpness that you get from the currant. So it's like not quite as sweet as a raspberry, but then underlying there is a slight, I guess, sweet raspberry jam note. There's definitely something very like jammy about this that it reminds me of if like a hard almond biscotti had a like some type of jam or like raspberry berry currant like glaze or jam like dipped into it. Kind of like that is what I get from this candle. So you do get the currant first and foremost, mixed with the raspberry. And there's definitely a very heavy bakery presence to this, but in a more like a deeper, darker type of like very brown sugar, almost like molasses leaning heaviness to the brown sugar fragrance in here, that it does kind of have like this sort of molasses type of feel to it. And it's mixed with like a almond note that gives it like a even like a darker nutty quality to it, that you would imagine you would find like, you know, an almond biscotti would have almonds or nuts in it. Very similar to that. Has a slightly almost like a amaretto type of quality to it, and that kind of makes sense too because it's like a Italian biscotti mixed with like Italian amaretto liqueur. Has that type of like almost like an Italian dessert type of feel to it. There's an extra heaviness and a robustness that comes from that brown sugar, and that sort of almond fragrance in there. And lastly, there is like a slightly like crunchy, crumbly bakery type of element that really does come off as like truly a biscotti type fragrance that's similar to the sort of like nutty biscotti that we got in Ice Blueberry Biscotti from Bath and Body Works. But once again, this one has a little bit more of like a deeper, richer brown sugar and almond cream presence that makes it a little bit deeper and richer than the BBW counterpart. And of course, that currant in there makes it a little less sweet than like a blueberry version from BBW, because the currant does have, once again, a sort of like piquant, sharp quality to it, that sort of brings down like an extra super sweetness that you might get from like a raspberry jam. So that's pretty much what this smells like a currant raspberry jam almond biscotti is what comes to mind. And I enjoy it in the sense that it has a very like unique difference to it. It's not, once again, your run-of-the-mill, just like another, here's a raspberry jam cookie fragrance, even though that's what I guess raspberry Linzer cookie will lend to. It's more like a layered, like biscotti type of like recipe that I am getting from this. So I do still enjoy it. And while it's not like my favorite fragrance in the world, I like, once again, how unique it is. And it's kind of like very reminiscent of like a more less sweet, more robust version of Ice Blueberry Biscotti from BBW. So I'm enjoying it for that. that. And it definitely has a very much like a fall into winter, like holiday treat feel to it that I feel like it's very appropriate for this time of year. So it's pretty much what this smells like, and let me go into the performance. So despite this having like a rather heavy quality to it, it's not super strong. I would put it just somewhere in like the 5 to 6 range. Very, very medium. It's kind of like you can kind of smell it like wafting into the hallway, like when you're approaching the room, but it's kind of just like fills the immediate room in like a 6 type of range, and like maybe like a 4.5 to a 5 when you have it in a more open concept, larger living area. So definitely in like the 5 to 6 medium range. Would I like not hate it if it was a little bit stronger? Absolutely, but it's still adequate. Not anywhere near as strong as the Ice Blueberry Biscotti from BBW, which would sometimes like have like a very burnt, strong quality to it. It's not as strong as that, but still adequate, so to speak. As for the performance on the wicks, this, as you can see there, this is just like sooting like madness, just a super hot, vicious burn. Trim the wicks on them, it's still just like suds like crazy. So that's just par for the course with this HomeWorx candles, are they do burn super hot, super vicious, and super sooty, and this is no exception. So yeah, I mean, at least it's not dying out, but I'm not a fan of how sooty this candle is, but I'll just kind of have to deal with it and keep the wicks super trimmed. So that's pretty much it for the performance. Overall, if like BBW is sort of like run-of-the-mill, boring bakery fragrances that we get over and over and over and over and over and repackaged over and over again, and you want something a little bit more unique but still very holiday appropriate, definitely check this one out. It's like a currant raspberry almond biscotti type fragrance is what I get from it. It just gives you kind of like those sort of like nostalgic holiday treat vibes to it that I really enjoy, and it's just kind of like one of those, once again, awesome like a slightly different, less expected, unique bakery fragrance that you sort of come to know and love from the Slatkin & Co. brand. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you've tried this candle out before. And yeah. Oh, I should also mention this one is quite similar to that raspberry shortbread fragrance, but that one's stronger on a very sweet, jammy raspberry, and it has a little bit more of a sweet, bright zinginess from the lemonade note that's supposed to be in there. That also had a slight, I think, rosewater floral quality to it that once again made it a little bit brighter and powderier, and it had less of that like heavy almond molassesy brown sugar presence to it. It still definitely had a very, very, very similar like shortbread biscotti brown sugar bakery crumbly aspect to it. Still similar, but less of that sort of heavy molassesy, almost almond cream amaretto feel to it is not present in the raspberry shortbread. But definitely sister fragrances for sure. I would say this one, because of the currant being a little less sweet than the raspberry lemonade blend, this is more of the holiday version, and raspberry shortbread is like the sort of summer springtime version. But just wanted to throw that out there. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.